Mary said she have one.
Yeah, she's with where it was, and then I left.
It's right
They
here.
took an hour just performing, and by the time they got into the program, it was I have to go. I didn't want you to be worrying about me. It's like I'd be like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Costick, Mr. Claus,
Here.
Mrs. McConnell, Dr. Rankin, Mrs. Ross, Mr. Wilson, President Murphy,
Here, and also Board Member McConnell. She's just working.
Ms. McConnell, thank you.
Here.
We have 6 present.
Thank you. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and begin our announcements. Mr.
All right, did you want the boards?
Okay, yeah, I'll do those real quick. So if you look up here to my left, I want to thank Dr. Maud Sanders students. They put up some really great pictures up here. Looks like they're using some of the different programs, Waterford and iReady, and some of the results from those. So, and the 7 mindsets are up here, so that's important. And then over here to my right, we have Peoria High, and there's a lot of pictures up here of the students. It looks like doing a lot of the fine arts, band and different things like that. And there's also some paintings up here that the kids have done. So after the meeting, if you get a chance, come up here and take a look at these. It looks like there's also a QR code you can scan and take a look at some of these art pieces as well. So we'll go ahead and move on now to announcements. Mr. Wilson, if you want to start us.
Thank you, President Murphy. Congratulations to the Richwoods basketball team for receiving 3rd place in the Class 3A state finals. This is the first time that they have competed in the state since 2010.
Cognia survey. The survey is now out. Please take a moment to share your beliefs and opinions about your child's school. The survey is anonymous and can be taken online at psd150.org/survey.
Just get that one I just handed you. Sorry.
Good evening, everyone. Report cards for the 3rd quarter will be sent home this Wednesday, March 13th. Thank you.
Ms. Costick.
FAFSA reminder. Attention high schoolers and guardians. If you have not completed the FAFSA, this is your sign to get started. Ask your counselor for help if needed. Filling out the FAFSA as soon as possible is required for anyone seeking financial aid towards college or technical schools. Reach out to your school counselor for more information. Thank you.
Superintendent Learn at Home Challenge. This initiative challenges K through 8 students to learn at home to earn either a bike, a tablet, or a gift card. The prize has been reserved for every student who completes the challenge by March 22nd. Go to psd150.org/challenge to get started.
Peoria Promise applicants are now open and will be available to all Peoria residents who have lived in Peoria or West Peoria for at least 4 years until May 15th. For more information, please see their website at peoriapromise.org.
Spring break. Spring break starts March 25th and resumes April 8th. Spring break learning session is March 25th through the 28th with transportation and meals provided. And the offices will be closed. For administrative offices are closed on Friday, March 29th and Monday, April 1st. All right. Moving on now to Remarkable Spirit, Mr. Josh Collins.
Thank you, President Murphy, Dr. Karat, board members. I appreciate the opportunity to come here and share just one of the many, many, many wonderful monitors that we have in the transportation department. I'm going to turn it over to our special needs routing supervisor to come up and tell you a little bit about Mr. Edmund Lacey.
Hello, board. Thank you for having us. About a month ago, I received a phone call from a parent. That's not unusual. We get a lot of those every day. What set this phone call apart was that this parent was so impressed with one of our monitors, specifically the one on her student's bus. She told me that her student is nonverbal and that the student had stopped on the way to the bus and looked down at the student's shoes. The monitor, without hesitation, told the staff and the people that were standing there at the exact same time that mom mentioned it, that when he does that, he wants his shoelaces tucked in. This stopped mom in her tracks because it meant so much to her to see one of our monitors take such a small, seemingly insignificant detail and pay that much attention to one of the students on his bus. She knows that if the monitor is taking the time to notice and learn such small details about the students about her student, that he must be doing that for every student on that he interacts with. Whether it's a little detail like shoelaces or a willingness to meet a wheelchair student at their home and help them get to the bus so that they can get to school, Mr. Lacey excels at his job and in building relationships with the people around him. When I talked to the driver that regularly works with Mr. Lacey, she said he is more caring than anyone else she has seen. He is awesome. He remembers the little details, the good and the bad things going on with each student, and remembers to ask about those details. Mr. Lacey, you brighten the day of everyone you interact with, from students to staff at transportation, and the school staff that you interact with as well. Because of that, I am honored to present you with this Remarkable Spirit Award on behalf of Peoria Public Schools.
I just show up and go to work. But no, thank you for this. I really appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Okay. Congratulations, Mr. Lacey. And you may just show up and go to work, but what you do for all of our babies when they're on the bus is much appreciated. And so thank you. And to all of you guys who do those, thank you. Okay, up next we've got, is it Whitney? No, was that with him? Okay. Ms. Clemens.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Murphy, Dr. Karat. I was approached, I think, a couple of months ago, and I was talking about a sub that we have at Glen Oak. When I arrived about 3 years ago, I met Mr. Kang, Mr. Stephen Kang, and I was an assistant principal. One of the things that stood out to me about Mr. Kang is just how his dedication. He's probably one of the hardest working subs that I have ever worked with, and his attention to detail and what he does for students. We had a lock-in, I guess maybe a couple of years ago. It was like the first lock-in, and so we were up with the kids all night. He came and he helped that evening to get students checked in. About 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, we all wake up. Mr. Kang is sweeping floors. He comes to all of our dances. He comes to the students' extracurricular activities. When we had students that have had house fires and needed things, or we tried to raise money for particular students, he's always the first one to donate. And so he did inform us this year that this would be his last year with us. He was actually at Glen Oak 3 years before I got there. It doesn't matter what assignment we give him. He takes it on this planned period. If you need him to go and sub, he'll go sub. He eats lunch with the students, I think, just about every day during his lunch period. He comes down and he sits with them. And I just think it's so hard to find, good help. And for someone that doesn't have to do these things, I would be remiss if I didn't honor him before he left and let him know how much we appreciate what he does for our students at Glen Oak.
So Ms. Clemens, he retired, right? Retired chiropractor
Chiropractor, yeah, from Canada.
from Canada, and
Yes.
has been spending his entire
Yes.
time at Glen Oak.
Yes, he actually went to Richwoods for a brief second, and we were so short staffed at Glen Oak that he came back that year. He left Richwoods and came back to Glen Oak. And so, like I said, we sometimes have a tough crowd, but he just keeps on coming back.
Yeah.
So for that, I'm telling you, I just really can't even tell you how much I appreciate, what you do for us.
So him and
So
his
this
wife,
is just a small
yeah.
token.
They're moving to California, right? So when we found out, we're like,
I was like, oh my gosh, no.
Hawaii. I have seen him in action when we were at our lowest point and at the highest point. And you're right, he was just always there, consistent, smiling. He was there for the kids, never complained, just like, what do you need me to do?
Yeah, he shows up when sometimes no one is there. So for like I said, and he doesn't have to. He can use his planned periods to do what he wants to do. He can eat his lunch by himself, but he comes down, he sits with the students, he moves around. Whatever. When we don't need him, he's asking, where do you need me to go? What do you need me to do? So, like I said, I couldn't do a lot of stuff in these past couple of years without you. So I appreciate you.
And Mr. King, just to let you know, when you accept that award, you reinstate your subbing, so you can't now leave, obviously. So, okay. We obviously wish you very well in your journey out to Hawaii. Very jealous of that. All right. Up next, we have Maureen Langhoff.
Good evening, Dr. Karat, President Murphy, Vice President, Dr. Ranking, board members, Peoria Public Schools administrative team, and community members. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to recognize one of our amazing staff members this evening. Charles. Where to start? I've known Charles for many years, as he was first a behavior attendant in my classroom before moving to a custodial working position in the district. Charles is a very hardworking, dedicated person who goes way above and beyond the call of duty. Not only does he work to keep our building spotless, but he also answers every need of all the staff with a smile on his face. He engages with our students, going out of his way to talk with them, mentor them, and support them when he feels the need. You can feel that he cares about his job and all the individuals in this school. Therefore, I feel that Charles Owen should be recognized for his effort as a valuable member of the Jameson School team. I'm reading the comments of my staff members when I asked them to send in a nomination. I've known Charles for many, many years. He started at Jameson as a one-on-one attendant, a position at which he excelled at. He has furthered himself and is currently our custodian. He is always willing to drop what he's doing and help in whatever way he can. Since he has previously worked with our special needs students, he understands our population. He is patient, willing to teach a lesson to those who talk to him, and is just generally a great coworker. I'm glad he came back to join our staff again. We couldn't ask for anyone better. Charles is the custodian at Jameson. For some, this position ends with the responsibility of the building, but not for Charles. He willingly extends his custodial care far beyond the physical building of Jameson. He cares for our students by mopping up messes, as well as finding string at the request of a student to use as a belt to help hold up his pants. He cares for teachers by completing mundane tasks, even with a smile on his face, and was most likely interrupted from his regular duties. Charles is always kind and friendly and willing to jump in and help with anything teachers and students need, even though it might not technically be part of his job description. I have seen him help teachers out with a student who may be having a bad day or behavioral issue and really help turn the situation around. Not only is Mr. Charles one of the most efficient custodians I have worked with, he's also one of the most compassionate. We work in a very special environment, and Mr. Charles treats our students with care, respect, and dignity. He is also keenly aware of student safety. Because our students have such specific needs, Mr. Charles is constantly scanning all areas of the building, inside and out, to make sure they are clear of debris, accessible, and safe for everyone. He addresses any concerns immediately and does so with a smile. He makes the days of everyone around him better. When we were still weeks old in Jameson, this is from our staff members from the Philippines, Irene and I came in early. Mr. Charles saw to it that we felt safe by coming in earlier, letting us feel comfortable. Aside from that, he knew most of my students and would help me when needed. Charles is such a constant. He's always positive, upbeat, and makes me smile every time I see him. Our students love Mr. Charles. Charles is always ready with a smile. He takes pride in his work and is always happy to help with anything he can. The students here love him, and he loves them too. Charles is always willing to help out whenever needed. He acts like a stand-in aide whenever he is available and the need arises. Sometimes that looks like feeding a student lunch, helping get a student back in the building after recess, or helping to de-escalate emotions or behavior in the hallway. The students respect him. He has a smile for everyone. He just stops, listens, and responds to the students when they ask how he is doing or just want to tell him something. This is all in addition to him doing his custodial duties with a positive attitude. He is a very hard worker, personable with everyone in the building, and will help out whenever is needed. He has $1 million smile and genuine compassion for the students and adults in our building. He's so much more than an amazing custodian. Finally, as the principal of Jameson these past few years, and having the privilege of working with Mr. Owens for many years, I could not be more grateful for the role he's played this year, making sure our building continues to be safe, clean, and orderly, while I've had to be out of the building with our son. Since his cancer diagnosis July 1st. I truly have a team who steps up when needed so that I don't have to worry. Because of all these things, I am proud to present Charles with the Remarkable Spirit Award.
Congratulations, Mr. Owens. It sounds like you're well respected and well loved in your school, and I know that every time I've gone into Jameson, that building looks showroom ready. So thank you.
Also have staff here.
Okay, yeah.
Thanks for coming out to
Thank
support.
you for coming out to support. Yes, thank you. All right, moving on now to awards and recognitions for the Peoria Public Schools 2023, Those Who Excel honorees, Dr. Sharon Carrot.
Thank you, President Murphy. Thanks, board, our audience with us and listening online. It takes hundreds of passionate and dedicated staff members on stage and behind the scenes, showing up for our students day after day to keep our school district moving forward. And each year, Illinois State Board of Education recognizes a small number of those staff members with the Those Who Excel and the Teacher of the Year award. So we always get actually quite a bit of applications and put them through an extensive judging process before pinpointing our annual winners and runner-ups for each category. Over the next 3 board meetings, we'll be recognizing winners in 2 categories. And the awards will be presented by either myself or the awardee's nominator. So tonight, I will be recognizing the Volunteer of the Year. Over the past 5 years, this volunteer has brought a bright and loving presence in the Charter Oak Primary School. In her nominator's words, she has continuously served in the cafeteria each day of the entire duration of lunchtime, keeping students moving in line, assisting them with their condiments and trays, and opening tough food items. She knows the students by name and works to maintain relationships with each one of them. Miss Jamie Lynn is always thoughtful, loving, supportive, and caring towards every student in our building. She has also shown her kindness to staff by providing treats or little gifts when she knows one of us had a rough day. Our students feel safe and loved because of her. Her smile is always so bright and infectious as she enters the school each day. Mrs. Lynn is a shining example of what dedication and service looks like for our students. Congratulations, Mrs. Jamie Lynn, for being named Peoria Public Schools Volunteer of the Year. So I'm coming.
Thank you. It's a beautiful award. Your name, Dr. Jamie Lynn. Yes, that was not, we have to recognize the doctor as well. And then what does she get?
Posters, one of those from last year.
Yes, let's see, I haven't seen it, so hopefully the board will receive one as well. So do you recognize you? That's very cute.
Thank you.
Isn't that nice? Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you as well. So is Charter okay by chance? Okay. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Congratulations, Dr. Lynn, and thank you so much for spending your time and volunteering out at Charter Oak. That's much appreciated. Okay.
Just want to say a few words. I have two children who both attended Peoria Public School, and everyone is just so kind, so nice, and everyone works so hard every day. Then they provide the best for at least my kids, I can tell, and everyone else. I'm just trying to give a little back. So
Thank
you.
Thank you very much. Up next, we have Laura Rogers.
And I just found out from Laura that she is unable to attend tonight. For some reason, she's not feeling well. So we're going to recognize the Team of the Year, and I could have actually done this one off the top of my head because they have been volunteers for many, many years. Actually, I started in the district in 1998 at Elise Roosevelt Magnet School, which is now Elise Fort Allen, and they were a very strong partner while I was there as assistant principal, and they continue to be partners with Peoria Public Schools. A lot of people ask, how can we help? Or sometimes they have no idea of how they can help our students, our families, Peoria Public Schools. And this example is a great example of what the Rotary Club of Peoria North, that's a perfect example of how you can help, the community can help. You heard Dr. Lynn, she's helping in the cafeteria. I was a principal at many schools, and I would ask individuals, they could be speakers in the classroom, they could be hallway monitored. When I was at Manual, we had the retired employees from Caterpillar, about 10 of them. They served in the cafeteria, they served as hallway monitors. Some people served assisting at recess, served as mentors, they read to students, they provide tutoring. So those who excel, Team of the Year, again, they've been very, very committed to Peoria Public Schools for decades. For the last several years, more than several years, this organization asked Elise Fort Allen Academy, how can we help? And continue to dedicate hours towards improving literacy skills amongst the students. They work one-on-one with students to strengthen their reading skills. The Rotary Club of Peoria North has contributed free outside libraries, a friendly bench in the school foyer, landscaping additions, book donations, summer packets, and more to the Elise Fort Allen's students and staff. They were so invested in helping students succeed that they morphed their reading program into a pen pal program during the pandemic and sent letters and packages home to students. Rotary members have volunteered countless hours bettering the school both inside and out. The Rotary Club truly lives out the motto of our spirit of giving, having fun while helping others. Again, congratulations, Rotary Club of Peoria North, for being named the Peoria Public Schools Team of the Year. And this is from Ms. Rogers. Congratulations. Do we have any Oh, perfect.
And while you're coming up, I just wanted to add one of the things that wasn't listed on there. Before I ran for election for the Board of Education, Peoria North saw a call to action that I'd put in the newspaper about water bottle filler stations, and they were the ones who were the biggest single donors to that campaign with over $6,000 to help get water bottle filler stations in all the schools. So thank you to Rotary North for that as well.
And it's a big deal. I mean, this is also an award from Illinois State Board of Education as well, including Peoria Public Schools. We appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much.
I'll stand up. I'd like to thank you guys for this recognition. I'm the current president. I'm Jason Mott. I'm the general manager of the Peoria Chiefs. So I'm taking this on for our club. Education is important to us. It's something that, like you said, we saw something a few years ago, and immediately we're like, hey, how can we help them? Literacy is a big thing for Rotary. Education is big something for us, and we've got such a diverse group of people in our club, whether they're retired, just starting their careers, but giving back to our community. We see that every day. You can make a difference. You know, I go and read with the kids. It's one of my favorite times of the week, or the month, to go to see them, because they don't really want to read all the time. They want to tell me about what's going on and have conversations. So we love it. We'll always support the youth in our community here, and continue to be a pillar, and hope that other clubs and organizations will follow suit.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You guys.
Well, you shouldn't have gone far, Dr. Karat, because up next we have the most improved attendance for February by you.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I got all these assignments. Everybody's bailing out on me. I'll get them, though. Let's see. Do we have representatives from Manual and Rolling Acres? I know Ms. Rogers, Elise Fort Allen is not here. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Hassan. You have been working very closely. And I'll just say attendance is huge for us. Chronic absenteeism is huge. We just read an article over the weekend, the executive directors and myself, about how, and it's a national, especially chronic absenteeism, that it's really a national challenge, especially after COVID. And you could literally have, it's like really interesting, you could have a school with a 90% attendance rate, but a 20-something% chronic absenteeism. It's very interesting, but we get it, we understand. We continue to be very, very focused. I am so proud of Peoria Public Schools and our principals from day one. For 9 years, every building has a plan, an attendance plan. They have attendance committee members, and everyone has roles, including teachers and one-on-ones. They all have responsibilities, and we've taken our attendance, because if they're not here, we cannot impact them, right? And so that has been a piece that Peoria Public Schools have done very, very, very well with the help of Cheryl and Dr. Simpson coming to a principals meeting, providing tips. We get the data from Shannon and Renata. Every month we have the attendance data. We know the children who are very good on task. On target. We know the ones who are, yellow, what we call yellow, and we know the ones who are red, and a lot of supports for them. Principals, I read their newsletters every week that they send out to parents. They all have these challenges about uniform free or popcorn, the
Yep.
different things just to entice, right, and encourage them to come. So we are about 89% district wide. We were hoping to be over the 90% hump. We're getting there. There've been a lot, like Kelly. I've read Kelly's and heard her announcements. They've had a bout with flu and stuff going around. So, but still really proud of the work, and it's very intentional, very focused, and everyone is pretty much on board. And Dr. Hassan works with Dr. Bush, some thought partner we brought on to help us with that chronic absenteeism, because we don't like those numbers. They're not in a good place. And so yeah, thank you, Dr. Hassan, for taking one for the team. I teed it up for you.
Good evening, Board President Murphy, Superintendent Karat, board members, audience, our lovely community. Really excited about attendance at Manual. This is the fourth month in a row that Manual has received a recognition for attendance. If you remember, just a few months ago, Ms. Hawk said that it was an award that she never thought she received, and now it's the fourth time in a row. And so, yes, she's been working very closely with our chronic absenteeism specialist, and Dr. Bush remarked that Devin really knows her data. She uses a dashboard, and so she really has been working specifically individually with students and incorporating a team of people to work with those students. And she's really doing weekly incentives, because when students don't come to school a lot, a month is a long time to wait for a reward. So she's doing the weekly incentives, and that's really working. Additionally, she's been recognizing students who have perfect attendance as well. So she's recognizing the students who are doing well and the students who are improving, and she's seeing a change. In addition to that, she's just an awesome, wonderful principal, and she's in the hallway with her students with her little rolling desk and talking to them about coming to school on time and getting to class, and just really loving on them. So that's so important, and I think that's what's really working, is the love. So on behalf of the Rams, thank you.
And I'll just add, Barber, Rolling Acres, they were second place, right behind Manual in terms of having the best attendance for February this 2024 compared to 2023. And I've sat in on some of their meetings with their PLCs, with the teachers, their teacher meetings, and it's very impressive. They have a list of kids that they discuss. They come up with strategies, and they know why. And it's like pretty amazing. This one, because of this is happening, this is what we're going to do. And it's not only Rolling Acres, it's pretty much all the schools. As Dr. Hassan said, they know their data, they know their kids, and they're coming up with strategies to ameliorate or lessen the burden so that children can come to school. It's a lot of work, but it's intentional work, and they do it with love and such vision. I'm really proud of them. So just imagine, and I mean, it's a big project, the attendance plan and the attendance. Just imagine if we were not doing anything, where we would be. So we're pushing, though, for getting over the 90s hump, and we're very, very close. I think we're 89.2 or 89.1. So we're very, very close, and we'll continue to go at it really, really hard. So congratulations to Manual, Rolling Acres, and Elise Fort Allen for having those top 3 places, and continue to work hard with those, and then everybody else. I'm sure everybody has seen improvements. So thank you, President Murphy. Thank you,
Yeah.
Board.
Well, I think a big thanks to all of the principals I know across the city. They're making it their goal every week with the announcements to make sure that the attendance is being recognized where we're at, where we want to be, what we can do to improve that. The incentives, again, across the school district for the students has been great. And every night before bed, when I play Candy Crush, the little video of the girl at one of the schools for Peoria Public Schools gets on and says, if I miss more than 7 days of school, it means that I could, miss out on an opportunity with something, whatever. So, I mean, those things work too as well. So congratulations to whoever put those. Did you do those? Thank you very much, Halima. I see it a lot. All right. We have nothing under district presentations this evening, so we're going to move into presentation by audience members. Persons who wish to speak during the public comment section of the District 150 board meeting are expected to complete a request to speak card. Cards will be accepted by the board secretary until the president calls the meeting to order. The purpose of this opportunity is to direct comments to the board and/or provide information. Ordinarily, the board will not engage in dialogue with the speaker. Comments should be in good taste and demonstrate consideration for others. Each speaker will be allotted up to 5 minutes, and a tone will sound when the allotted time has expired, and the speaker should conclude their comments. Thank you for following this procedure. Your cooperation will ensure that all individuals who wish to speak may do so while simultaneously providing for timely completion of the board's business agenda. Has that been updated? It's been updated. It's nice. All right, up first we have Yolanda Riley. That's been changed.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Yolanda Riley. I'm a proud Manual graduate, first of all. I'm an attorney here in Peoria, Illinois. I have specifically provided free legal services through the Wraparound Center for PPS students, parents, employees, and individuals primarily residing in 61605 and 61603 since June of 2021. Since being in that capacity, I've successfully closed 263 cases because of the R3 grant, in addition to giving legal advice to hundreds more individuals. I have about 10 to 13 files remaining, and on behalf of my former and current clients, thank you for making that possible. However, I am here to pose this question. With many of the community agencies that have received funding under the R3 grant no longer receiving that specific funding, including the civil legal piece of that, what's the direction going forward at the Wraparound Center as it relates to increasing the presence of specific community agencies in our underrepresented zip codes in areas like trauma-specific counseling, behavioral health services, services that support single-parent households, and various other services that will no longer be available. I stand with a host of others in the community who want to see the Wraparound Center continue to be that one-stop location for those types of services I mentioned, so that our community can have direct access as it was originally intended for the center. And if you don't have any information to this issue as of today, I would be satisfied with the matter being tabled and placed on the agenda for a future meeting. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Up next, we have Mary Beth Cunningham.
Hello, I'm Mary Beth Cunningham.
Hello.
Before I actually get to what I'm going to say, I'm fully supportive of what you said, because I come up here annoyingly several times a year probably and talk about mental health counselors, which are separate from crisis counselors. When you call the crisis hotline, you're getting a trained crisis caseworker or counselor, but you're not necessarily getting a licensed therapist. And when we've got a wraparound center in a highly traumatized area with a high-risk population and food insecurity and housing insecurity, it's really important to have the actual licensed specialist down there. So however I can help, I would like to. I'm also a therapist, so happy to help with that. But yeah, that wraparound center going forward, keep growing it because it's so necessary, and I bet you there's ways that they're helping that attendance go up as well. I wanted to talk about food service. I came earlier in the year saying, hey, I'm probably like the one person who's going to come and be like, yay, to food service, right? I'm continuously impressed by the rep from food service. I don't know if she's here or not. I've only ever been in contact and email, but I'm a food allergy mom. I've got 2 kids with severe anaphylactic food allergies. One has just a list, right? And my kids do take cold lunch to school simply because it's hard to actually secure everything. But if my family were in a different situation and I were reliant on school food, and there may be a time where that happens, right? Then I know at least with this current vendor that I can reach out and say, here's the laundry list of things that my kids need. It's in their 504. Can you please help me out? Earlier this year when I was reaching out, she's like, hey, yeah, I want to maybe start a committee and have the staff and parents and kind of just collaborate everybody and make things good. And, I've gotten a lot of lip service over the years in general, right? And I'm not shy to call it out when I see it, but I got an email the other day saying, hey, you're invited to this committee. I'm like, are you kidding me? Great. I'll be there. And I'm sure she knows I'll be there. So I'm very grateful for that. It helps my heart to know that the kids who maybe can't take cold lunches to school, who can't safely eat without school food, you make a choice between being hungry and having anaphylaxis. That should never be a choice. And I think our food service director or whoever's in charge of that is doing a very good job. So I appreciate that. And of course, I emailed the full board on a different note related to pretty much begging you to put the architect contract maybe back on the table. I have FOIA'd. It's still technically not complete. I've gotten partial FOIAs. I included everybody in an email. But if I have to FOIA the information, just for the basic information about the facility survey, then it wasn't public enough to begin with, right? They don't have access to it. They're seeking out access to this report from the facility survey. And so in the spirit of transparency, when we have that, can we please put it back on the table to just show us a presentation? I love your presentations. I come and look at them all the time, right? In the spirit of transparency and open meetings, begging you to put that back on there. I'm not saying not to do it. I just want to see what's out there and what we're going to be paying for versus paying for again, right? So that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll actually be seeing you at that food committee meeting. I'm going to be there as well, so. Yep.
Sorry for it.
All right, now we'll move on to response to audience presentation.
Thank you, President Murphy. So just 2, in terms of Mary Beth's, is asking for a presentation. Is that from the first study that was done? We can get that done, right? Can we have them do that again? Just an update on what was. Mm-hmm. Okay. For transparency purposes, yep, thank you. And then, in reference to Attorney Riley's, she emailed me on Friday and just said, I was informed that PPS is not renewing the R3 grant as it relates to the services I provide to the community. Do you know the reasoning behind that? And I told her, yes, I did, and explained that the R3 grant is now 75% less than the previous allocation for organizations our size and overall budget. And that we had to cut really about five partners, right, including Holt, Family Corps, reducing services. We had to realign our justice advocates because they're working with families, they're working with kids directly, and so we had to find another line item for them so they wouldn't be on the chopping block every year. And there were 2 others I can't remember. Dr. G, what were the 2 others? Do you remember? The abeyance program and the student working program. So, right. So, but the money, the thing is, the money is 75% less than what we had received. So I think that is really important. With 75% less money, you have to make some decisions. And the direction was to select, the whole focus, and actually Mrs. McCollin and I were, and Ms. Brooks and Dr. Hassan were with the Lieutenant Governor at Art Inc. Just today, I had to run back to get into executive session at 5. And essentially, she talked a lot about investing in students. That's the focus of this grant. So that's our focus as well. So we just have to rethink Dr. G, Dr. Coleman. They're working with a committee, kind of rethinking the programming because of the limited funds that are available. So the direction is to spend a lot more per the grant, which is competitive. We may not even get it. It's competitive. I have to throw that out there, highly competitive. And so the programming component is more focused on direct services to students. And so the new feature that the committee is looking at that they're investigating is more of a preventive measure before reentry is required. So I know some of the things that the committee is looking at that they shared with me, and we talked about it in executive session. Abeyance, for example, we have to pay for that. Kids when they get it. So most of the money will probably go there, and then again the committee is meeting. So you run out of money because it is very, very, very little money. It's 25% of what we had before. So I explained that, and so that's where we are. We're getting significantly less dollars, and so the district has to already pick up. We have to pick up a huge chunk that the grant will not be picking up, and that's for example in the justice advocates. Does that make sense? You want to add anything, Dr. G? And we looked at the total amount for our area. What was it? 400?
438 or so.
And that's not all for PPS, right? If in fact we get it. That's the whole region, just 400. And how much did we get originally? Was it
Almost 890,000.
about 800? So, it's like, and I wanted to talk to her about that, but I had to run back to executive session. I was trying to explain, because Ms. McConnell was asking, it's like, Doc, what's going on? And actually, I brought it for you. It is so different. We were like not happy, but they have tiers now. So I got a copy for you to take a look at. The money is like almost nothing. We were thinking maybe another organization can apply. You can't even collaborate because it throws you out. Most of the money will be going to Chicago. That's how that was written.
May I add something? Just for clarity, so that the district does not lose sight on the priorities of the grant. It is for civil legal aid, economic development, re-entry intervention, violence prevention, and youth development. And even though we are getting less, we somehow need to slice the pie with equity. And I do understand that we want to focus on programming, and I thought that was the purpose of 7 Mindsets. So that's a program. What happens in underserved areas is that legal representation, which is a domino to all of the other things that are side effects of poverty. And so I think it's critical for us to keep that at the table. I understand programming, but I think that the district has provided and has equity in the programming. You are talking about a population of people with limited resources for intervention. When you look at legal aid, probationary periods, be it a juvenile or either for an adult. So I really think we need to reimagine, even if we get a smaller pie, how we share the distribution of it, because the R3 grant is to cover those 5 pillars, and that's the whole purpose of it, is to include those 5 pillars. And anybody can go to r3.illinois.gov, and it goes into great detail what the law is. I mean, it is a legal mandate that if you get those funds, you have to focus on those pillars in some kind of way. And if it's a smaller pie, then we still got to cover what the grant, what the institution of the grant is for. And a major portion of that is that piece. So I would like to see us value that. Sometimes we have to do the same work with the same money, if not less. And we all understand that when it comes to our own personal budgets. Groceries cost more, and if you have $200 every month, you decide what you spend that on. It might be less shrimp and some steak because you got to get a few more vegetables and some fruit. So I just want us to be proactive in that work, because what we don't want to do is jeopardize what the original purpose of the R3 funds and the money, what it was designated for. And it wasn't specifically for programming, but it's for those 5 pillars. Thank you.
I probably used that word more generically than the way you're interpreting it.
Could I ask a question? Let me see how I want to phrase this. When did we talk about this, cutting those programs, and especially in 61605? Because I'm not understanding why almost so many people get money for 61605, but when it comes to what's provided there, there's a problem. So when did we decide that? Or did we decide that?
Yeah.
You said there was a team of people who decided
Right?
it?
No, so the R3 grants expired in January 31st of this year. So you had all the.
75% expired.
No,
Now
the
we
whole
have to-
thing, the whole
Okay.
grant ended. The entire grant ended. I had to find, because I did not want to lose our justice advocates, I had to find a different funding source to keep them. I'm like, don't worry. You're working directly with children. The kids need you. So we'll figure it out. So, but that grant ended in January, and everything that was on that grant had to come to an end. The new application just came out a couple of weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, maybe, Dr. G?
Yeah, like a week and a half ago.
A week and a half ago. So, and that's problematic in and of itself. And so when it came out, we were disappointed. We're like, oh my God, it is only 25% of what we had. And when we all know when we have limited funds, what's going to happen, something has to give, And so we cannot provide all the services that we provided with the last grants that we had. It's very, very clear that we have significantly less dollars, and we have to, we manage, $55 million in grants. I think we know how to write a grant. I think we know how to manage a grant. I think we know what the needs are, So, but we know it's like 25% of what we had. So we have to figure out the most impactful. That's my update, President Murphy.
I think that I totally agree with Mrs. McConnell. You have to choose your battles very, very carefully. And when we look at the dynamics of what is happening down there, we have to really weigh that the services that are being provided are very, very important and very much needed for the community that is being served by it. I guess I look at it like we can find money for everything else under the sun. I think whatever it takes whatever is needed in order to make this happen, we need to try to do it. Writing grants or whatever is necessary, because those services are so valuable for the clientele that is being served. So, I do agree very much with Mrs. McConnell.
Yep, so I mean, if grants come out for that type of service, I mean, this is a service that provides legal services to families, expungement and those sorts of things. So it's, okay, so you can say, okay, you know what, I have $5. I can either use it to buy the necessities that you talk about, and make sure that we have the basic needs. And for us, the majority of those funds are going to kids who need that abeyance support. The counseling, once they go through the board and they're on expulsion in abeyance, right? And one of the things we talk about all the time, the board says, let's make sure, we talked about it in executive session tonight. Are they getting that support? Are they getting that counseling? Are they doing the drops? That is what those dollars are being paid for, right? A huge chunk of it, a part of it.
I was just gonna
Your mic's
say.
not on.
Oh, sorry.
But your mic's not on.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, those services have been provided for years. When did we attach them to the R3 grant? The abeyance and all that, that's been provided for years. When did we attach that to the?
It's a requirement of the grant in terms of
We
providing
didn't have
supports for the
R3 when we
kids.
first started that.
Mhm.
I'm just wondering what happened to the funding that we had when we were doing that, but anyway. Good.
So I think one thing that's also important to remember, it's not just the students who live down in that zip code that are affected by this with the wraparound center. This is students from all across the whole district that's going to be impacted by this. And I certainly would love to see, I know Dr. G will always be looking out for more grants and funding and things like that. But maybe us as a board, can we sit down and try to figure out maybe where we're starting to push money towards and maybe redirect it back to the wraparound center to offset the cost of some of these programs that are going to be leaving because of the grant reduction. If that's something that we would.
Yes, and Mr. Chair, I don't want us to lose sight of, in 2018, why the wraparound center was so relevant. It's because it's a total full service. And what's in there now is working. It has been working. This is the sixth year of it. And I think we have to be strategic, but we have to be wise, and we have to keep it relevant. And if the wraparound center is just going to do one thing, it's not wrapping around. It's meeting one need. And I just want us to be mindful of that. And I just text everybody the link for the grant, and if we need to request more because we have demonstrated a need for those supportive services, then we need to do that, because that's the whole purpose of the wraparound center, was to have a full service experience. And so many times what happens in an underserved area is the absence of legal counsel, and that's very important. It also changes the trajectory of a lot of families. It just does, so that we don't, and I know one of the biggest pillars was to stop that reentry, recidivism. It's just a cycle, and so that was the goal. Not only healing them in their counseling and their interventions, but also preparing them so that when they leave our district, they are not just pure labeled criminals, but that they've had the necessary representation to guide them through. So I'm just asking for us to be intentional with it and to be cautious, because the purpose of the wraparound was to wrap around families in multiple levels, and that is the purpose of the grant. Thank you.
Yeah, the wraparound center, I mean, that when I came in 2015, that was sort of my baby that I created along with Derek Booth. And, we have quite a bit of services there. We have the Hands Up, we have counseling. There are quite a bit of services being provided The legal services was a last addition because we had the funds, and we were really excited about the funds to provide those supports. But when we have limited funding, we have to really prioritize and decide, and that's what we do, that's what we do as a team, based on the data that we have, based on the information that we have, and based on the need. We do have paralegal, prior to the services through R3 that used to provide supports for our families. We would send them, we would work with them. And so I think, as we close, as you said, President Murphy, will continue to keep our eye open for additional grants that would support that. If Board Member McConnell could, because that comes right from the Lieutenant Governor's office, if you can maybe make a case for us for additional funding to provide that support, that would be fantastic. But the dollars right now, it's just not enough to go anywhere, to provide everything, to give everybody, a deal.
The agenda?
What?
It's on the agenda tonight, because. Okay.
There's no need for it to be on the agenda. We've not even written the grant. We have the grants. We have
I just wondered, because she referred to
no,
the tabling.
Yeah, she was, right, I know. She was just questioning that she's not in the grant, so she wants to be part of the grant, and that was the rationale.
And then lastly, since this is the new grant season, the only advocate that we have is writing in the grant. And so the advocacy has to be there for the need. And although they have a projection of what you might get, or either what this area is needing, when you look at the violence, all the things that have happened in that community in the last fiscal year, we have to tell that story. We have to keep it relevant. Yeah, somebody in Springfield or either Chicago is making a general assessment, but that's the privilege of telling our story, that we don't lose any of our services. And I think we need to approach it like that, as if we are entitled to that, not 25% of it, but we have to tell the story, and we are obligated to cover those 5 pillars. Otherwise, we may not get any of it. And that's just the purpose and the nature of that grant. And we must be cognizant of that. We must cover those 5 pillars.
And just for clarity, Ms. Ross, you were talking about earlier that we were getting these services covered before we were getting this R3 grant.
The services for abeyance and, the drug drops and that kind of thing.
Right.
Yes, long before we got any.
We use grants to do those as well.
So they were grant funded then, just a different grant okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right, good discussion, thank you. At this time, can I please get a motion to approve the February 26th, 2024 minutes as presented?
Second.
Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Costick? Mr. Claus?
Aye.
Mrs. McConnell?
Aye.
Mrs. Ross?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson? President Murphy?
Aye.
We have 6 ayes, motion carries.
Thank you. Information items, number 1, superintendent update.
Thank you. Kudos to Richwoods, whoever, that was pretty amazing. I went to the parade on Sunday. Wanted to thank Coach Smith and all of his assistant coaches for leading the young men to such an amazing journey. We all went down to the game. It was very exciting. So again, big kudos, all the staff, all the APs, the new AD, Mr. Cruzen. So just wanted to thank them. It was very exciting for the young men, and a great ceremony on Sunday. They talked about they're doing the right thing. And I told them, I actually sent a message to them, spoke on behalf of the board, that the board, would love them because they exemplified all of the values, our values around resilience, grit, compassion, empathy, hard work, respect. We saw that. And actually, I was in Champaign a couple of times, and random folks just stopped me and said, hey, the kids are just very good. They showed really good sportsmanship. They represented Peoria, the city of Peoria, very, very well. So wanted to take that back to the board and also shared with them on your behalf, your congratulations to them. I kind of like this as well because the superintendent gets a little medal too. So I always like getting those medals. I collect them. And then just a quick thing in terms of the superintendent challenge, just encouraging our families. Those are coming in. We have close to 300 who've gotten a prize, whether it's a $100 gift certificate, a bike, a tablet, or a Kindle. So I love seeing those. It makes me smile. So keep plugging away. We still have a couple of weeks to go. And of course, we have IESA testing going on this week. Then our spring break learning session will be coming up. Dr. Hassan could probably, you should have said something, Dr. Hassan, today. But we're in, how many people? We have over 1,000 individuals who've
Yes, approximately 1,032.
1,032 students who have signed up to attend for that Saturday for the intersession, the learning session. And there's 6 sites.
There are several sites. There are several sites. Maud Sanders, we have Jameson, which is hosting DC in the round, and help me out, Dr. Brown. Sure. But Dawson. We have Dawson, Elise Ward Allen, Glen Oak,
Charter Oak is 2, isn't it?
Franklin, and then the high schools as well. They're having something. So, and then we also have dual language. So we have a lot of good programs across the city so that all students can participate.
And I wanted to thank for high school. We also have a high school superintendent challenge the next couple of Saturdays from 9 to 12 at the 3 high schools and also Knoxville. The students can come from 9 to 12 to receive additional support to kind of recover courses. So I know Board Member McConnell, she's been there. I ran into her a couple of times, just supporting the children. So there were about 50, over 50 students were there that first Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago. And the numbers were, for this Saturday, we were all at Champaign and doing different things. So they were a little lower because I think the kids were watching the game as well. So, yeah, so anyway, thinking outside the box and trying to meet our children where they are, meet our families where they are. And I appreciated that conversation about legal services as well. But for us, it's, further down when we have limited funds. But we will continue to keep an eye open because it did add value for our families. I went to several of those workshops
Over
myself.
230 of them,
Mhm.
it sounded like.
Different sessions over the years. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
I know I was all over the place. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I will just add to your thing about the Richwood thing. I went to the pep rally at the school and somehow found myself sitting in the senior section. I didn't know that I had done that. And so it was a very high-spirited section, and they were all taking pictures, and I looked like the weird adult sitting there with them. And then as I stepped down and around the corner, and I didn't realize that's where all the players are going to be running from. So running past me, I got a lot of fist bumps, and it was a lot of fun, but the kids were really, everybody was excited, not just the players, but they were doing, and speaking of their good attitudes and things, before that even started, it was gym class. And so there was regular gym out there. And I don't know if it was normally this popular to play basketball during gym, but there were a lot of kids out there playing basketball, and the basketball team came out and they were playing with the kids in the gym class. I just thought that was really kind of cool. And then, they were getting ready to get the bus to get the champagne and they were out there playing. So I thought that was, it's good. All right. Financial update: budgeted, encumbered, expended, balanced, and percent balance.
Year-to-date revenue for through March 11th totaled $164.6 million. This is 61.4% of the budget. Typically, this time of year, we see 61.6% on revenue through March. In terms of expenditures, year-to-date expenditures were $173.4 million, about 62.4% of budget. Typically, through March, we see 69 0.4% of budget spent. We're 11 days into March, so it makes sense that we've not spent anywhere near the 69% as yet, but we've got several payrolls and accounts payable disbursements that'll bring that number up. So we continue to monitor both revenue and expenditures and will throughout the remainder of the fiscal year.
Any questions for Mr. Willis? All right, seeing none. Number 3, proposed expenditures over $2,500. Any questions? Seeing none. Report. Number 4, report of requests under the Freedom of Information Act and status of such requests.
Thank you, President Murphy. Since our board meeting on February 26th, we received 8 new requests. 6 were completed and there are 2 that are pending. And there was 1 pending request noted on February 26th. Of those, 0 request remains open. To date, we have received 17 requests for this calendar year at a total cost of $850. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on now to the consent agenda. Mr. Klaus, would you please?
Consent agenda number 1, gifts to school district. 2, payment of bills. 3, payment for travel. 4, human resource report. 5, purchase of 12 used school buses. 6, Richwoods tennis trip. 7, Richwoods tennis trip. 8, the amendment for group health care plan for all employees. 9, tentative agreement with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees. AFL, CIO, Transportation Department employees, Local 3716, ratified by bargaining unit members on March 6, 2024. 10, approval of E-rate contract vendors for connectivity C1 and switches C2 for the USAC 24-25 funding year. 11, IHSA membership renewal. 12, high school science lab materials and equipment. 13, high school geography textbooks. 14, updated salaries and regulations for auxiliary personnel for the year 23-24. And 15, Woodruff Career and Technical Center National Pro Start Competition Field Trip.
Thank you. Were there any items that any board members would like to have pulled for a separate discussion? Seeing none, can I please get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Costick? Mr. Claus?
Aye.
Mrs. McConnell?
Aye.
Mrs. Ross?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
President Murphy?
Aye.
You have 6 ayes. Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on now to the deliberation agenda. Right to
16, policy number 7100, health, eye, and dental examinations, immunizations, and exclusion of students.
Second.
Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Costick? Mr. Claus?
Aye.
Mrs. McConnell?
Aye.
Mrs. Ross?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
President Murphy?
Aye.
6 ayes. Motion carries.
17, expulsion with the expulsion to be held in abeyance.
Second.
Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Costick? Mr. Claus?
Aye.
Mrs. McConnell?
Aye.
Mrs. Ross?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
President Murphy?
Aye.
You have 6 ayes. Motion carries.
18, expulsion.
Second.
Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Costick? Mr. Claus?
Aye.
Mrs. McConnell?
Aye.
Mrs. Ross?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
President Murphy?
Aye.
You have 6 ayes. Motion carries.
Thank you. Presentation and suggestions by board members. Ms. Ross?
I would really like to see us highlight our jazz band. Maybe they could play for us at a board meeting for, a short period of time, because, a lot of the kids may feel left out if they're not a sports person, you know what I'm saying? So I would really like to see us highlight some of the other art and initiatives that students are doing.
Okay. They're performing when?
They're performing first on the 22nd.
When we go to
We have
visit the school.
jazz
Where?
manual, and we have the Yeah.
So all three high schools are going to be performing there, or just a jazz band?
The All Stars Band and the Drumline and the Peoria High dancers.
That's March 22nd?
April 22nd at Manual.
I'd also like to just add and say congratulations to Emily Dawson for her science fair that she hosted at Mark Bill's. Got asked to be a judge for that, and these kids were incredible. Everything from testing elephant toothpaste to breaking down why colors of candy dissolve better than others that are better for you to eat. Apparently, the brown ones are the best ones to eat. And my favorite one was learning how you could plug a cell phone charger into an onion to get a charge on your cell phone. And they just went on from there. And so she did a really, I wouldn't want to smell it, but if I needed my cell phone, I mean, this Costa, you're always looking for a charger, so maybe that'd be an option for you to use as an onion, you know, I don't know. But they did a really good job. Those kids worked really hard. I was very happy to get to present. I was listening to some of the other judges, and man, I felt like the Paula Abdul judge of the group because I was giving them all 8s. But I mean, it was they worked really hard. They did a great job on their presentation. So kudos to Ms. Dawson for that. Any reports from board committees? Seeing none, can I get a motion to adjourn? Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Kostick.
The Building and Grounds Committee will be meeting on March the 27th, virtually at 10:30 a.m.
Thank you. Any other?
The policy committee will be meeting next on Wednesday, April 3rd at 5:30. Yeah.
Any others? Seeing none, may I get a motion to adjourn?